Aquarius season is here to restore a sense of forward motion. Let's get into it. On January 19th, the sun ingresses into Aquarius. And yeah, Capricorn season is finally over. It seemed like it lasted a pretty long time. So now we are in Aquarius season. And here in the Northern Hemisphere, Aquarius season is the peak of winter. And actually where I live, in, as they call it, the snow belt, it's usually right around the first day of Aquarius season that the temperatures drop below zero and we get a ton of snow. So it's pretty literal here where I live in terms of lining up the zodiacal seasons with the actual weather. So yeah, we get all the seasons where I live. So yeah, I usually don't look forward to Aquarius season for that reason, but it's, the nature of Aquarius, I think, is the think tank. It's fixed air. It's like, we are going to sit here and we are going to think of a plan. And once we are completely satisfied with that plan, that will be the plan moving forward. Aquarians are just, ruled by Saturn, or just instinctively geared toward infrastructure. They have this like zoomed out perspective, basically from feeling like an outsider. Where they just kind of have this awareness of the whole. They have this awareness of the group. They have this awareness of planning. And, the archetype of Aquarius, the sun has its detriment in Aquarius. So there's just not a whole lot of self-importance there in Aquarius, which is where we get the containment. The man holding the urn of water. Yep, that thing is full of their feelings that they don't share. And they might not even know that they have. Aquarians, they are deep people. They just don't, many of them just don't feel like it's useful to talk about it. And they'd rather help solve. They're like, let's talk about you. How can I help you? So Aquarius season, at least where I live here in the north, Saturn rules the winter months. So it's all about kind of conserving our energy. We're not running all over town doing all the things. We're kind of keeping it low key, conserving our energy. But now we're starting to plan ahead. We got the Capricorn season of the rations down, if we're ancient people. And now we're still doing that, but we're also thinking forward. How can we innovate? How can we make use of what we have? How can we kind of take our resources available to us and rebrand them or repackage them or repurpose them. So I like the analogy of the think tank, because it's like we're all stuck in this room, or one of those problem solving rooms where it's like, we all have our gifts. We're not able to look things up. We're all working with what we got, and we're going to do our best to get out of here on time. So that's what Aquarius season is going to be really useful for, is going to the drawing board, hanging out with your closest friends, getting their opinions on things, collaborating on something, trying to solve an equation, brainstorming. And as much as Aquarius is a social air sign, they need their people. There is something about distance. There is something about maintaining a safe distance. There is something about, just like not wanting to get too close. Like you can bond with people and not make it all smushy, there can be something about keeping it cool. So Aquarius season reminds us, like, we're all special, but don't let it go to your head. Don't let it go to your head. A lot of Aquarians will actually say, like, none of us are special. But that's some of them. So anyways, Aquarius people by nature, they already know that they're cool. They don't need the validation. They don't need the confirmation from other people, and they won't wait for it. There's something about just being confident and not needing validation. And so Aquarians are really good at kind of just like putting their head down and staying on target with whatever it is that they're about. So that's what we're invited to do this season, is stay on target, put your head down, and stick to the thing that is exciting you right now. and how can you innovate it? And don't take yourself too seriously. That's one of the big messages of Aquarius season. So some of the highlights for Aquarius season, well, the good news is that there isn't really anything huge to write about for Aquarius season. The good news is that by early Aquarius season, we'll see the conclusion of both Venus and Mercury's retrogrades. So by early February, after Mercury stations direct, we will have all the planets moving direct for a solid 12 weeks until Pluto stations retrograde at the end of April. So that means that with all the planets in forward motion, speaking of an eye toward the future, Aquarius, we are going to be flying as Mercury picks up speed. So we're going to be flying forward for a solid 12 weeks. So this is the time to plan. This is the time to get it ready. And I hope you're using that Mercury and Venus retrograde to really kind of pause and rethink and review and reconsider so that we're fully ready to fly forward at the beginning of February. So that was your Aquarius season astrology shot of the day, and I will catch you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in with me today. The Power of Progressions is my 5-week course on secondary progressions. It is a profound predictive technique that you definitely want in your toolbox. We're going to begin this next session on January 23rd in the heart of Mercury Cazimi. I hope to see some of you there. And in the meantime, connect with me on all platforms at Astro Catherine.